Hi, this is Dave at TitleSearch.com. Once again, one of the most important parts of a title search is verifying the legal description of the property. Real estate parcels are ultimately identified not by postal address, not even by APN number, but by a very complicated full paragraph text called the legal description. You might think that a property address such as 12 Main Street would be good enough to determine which property you're talking about. But in a lot of cases, the address used by the mailman to deliver letters isn't good enough to know which legal parcel is being considered. Think about this example. If you look at a shopping mall, a large shopping mall, let's say like a Simon type mall, might be at 12 Main Street. Well, that mall may have multiple legal parcels, one for the parking lots, one for the out parcels for the Applebee's restaurant, one for the mall. Even inside that mall, there may be multiple legal parcels for each chain store or what have you. In the case of even a less substantial property, like a residential home, 12 Main Street might have a separate legal parcel in the back for a in-law suite. So a legal description is a more detailed way to identify the parcel. There's two general types of legal descriptions. One is called the meets and bounds description. The other is called a block and lot. A meets and bound is literally a description of the boundaries. It has a starting point, starting at such and such a point, proceeding 220 feet in this direction, turning so many degrees in another direction, and so on until you come back to that starting point, which is a very important part of the legal description, in that the legal on a meets and bounds must close back to its original point. If it doesn't close in an enclosed type of shape, then there really is no description of which property is being described, because there's an opening and the property can just leak out. The second type is a block and lot description, and at some point, some parts of the country were surveyed in a process called the PLSS, Public Land Survey System. It was done in the 1800s, where literally surveyors went across the country with rods and chains and mapped out the whole country into blocks and lots, and it was divided down from there. In fact, the block and lot has a very specific dimension compared to those rods and chains. And sometimes it was broken up. For example, a block and lot PLSS legal description might be something like the northwest quarter of the southwest quarter of this such and such block and lot. Now remember, there's a little piece of trivia going along with that. The PLSS surveyors were often paid with cash and half the time with rum. So in some parts of the country, you'll find some of these lines aren't exactly straight or accurate. So block and lot sometimes need a little bit of adjustment. Small errors in a legal description can be big problems. For example, if the number of feet is 233 on a meets and bounds run, and somebody puts 223, there's a small typo. Or for example, if the block and lot description is the northwest quarter and somebody puts the northeast quarter, it's going to throw off that whole legal and make whatever document it's attached to have potential problems with being valid. The legals, what makes that worse is they're often copied from one document to another, meaning that when somebody buys a property and their title company does a deed, they may just take the legal description from the prior deed and copy it and stamp it onto the next one. So if there is an error, it may convey through multiple documents in the chain of title. It's usually referred to on a document as Exhibit A. Instead of repeating the legal description in multiple places on a deed or mortgage, a lot of times it'll be attached as Exhibit A or Appendix A and then referred to in that deed as Exhibit A. So it's important to recognize that a legal description is key to identifying which property this event associates with: a deed, a mortgage, a lien. Without that, just saying 12 Main Street is ambiguous. It's not going to identify one property. And it's the reason why title searching is so important, to make sure that the accurate documents go with the right property. Also, it's the reason why title searching is, in most cases, cannot be made into data in electronics. You can't tie all these properties together, or all these documents together by property, because the legal description is such a long piece of data It's not easy to put in a database or into a field. You can put a number in or a name into a field, but if everything was connected to one legal description, you couldn't put that in one field in a database or in a spreadsheet because it's usually 2 or 3 paragraphs long, and there might be variations. One person might put in quarter as 1/4. Somebody else might write out the word quarter in letters. So it's not something that can be put into data, which is one of the reasons why title searching and property title records are in hard copy paper format, and that the records are indexed by name, which can involve other property. So legal description is an important part in doing your search. Make sure that the legals match up with the property that it's intended to, and when the search is used by the client, be sure that that is the property that is being contemplated or has interest in it.